Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Welcome to another edition of Kalkine TV's Executive Corner Expert Talks. Now, we know the demand for personal protective equipment, or PPE, has increased during the pandemic, but environmentally conscious and affordable solutions for the industry have not been easy to come by. Luckily, though, one company is changing that by producing its own forward-thinking, sustainable fabric and medical PPE to accelerate the transition from the current linear model of medical accessories. And joining us today to tell us all about it is Radhika Srinivasan, the CEO and founder of EcoTextura. Welcome to the show, Radhika. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. First of all, what can you tell us about the impact of non-reusable personal protective equipment on the environment?
Yeah, I guess who would have thought that in 2 years we'd constantly be carrying our masks in our pockets just like we do our phones and our keys. And these personal protective items that protect us from airborne droplet diseases would be in such high use across hundreds of thousands of hospitals and facilities. So about 500,000 disposable masks get used across the world every 10 seconds. And most of these are just thrown away to landfill or more commonly incinerated due to infection control reasons. And in both cases, polluting the environment with toxic fumes and chemicals. And as most PPE is also petroleum-based, so made from plastics such as polypropylene and polyester, we also have the problem of plastic microfibers leaching into the environment, which can impact it for decades. And I'm sure you've seen all the photos of masks and gloves washed up in the ocean and stuck to bushes and trees. And this isn't an isolated incident. It's several tons of plastic PPE globally in the environment. And small medical masks usually take about 450 years to decompose in the environment. So, it puts it into perspective.
It does, absolutely. And those the facts that you just mentioned about the materials used to create these traditional standard masks, obviously they're quite harmful for the environment and they take a significant amount of time to decompose. But by that same measure, are they also perhaps harmful for users and wearers of these masks? I mean, microplastics, for example, it's not something that you really want to be breathing in or have any close contact with, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does pose a big biocompatibility risk as well. So we have to do a lot of assessments to make sure it's safe in that regard.
Right, I can imagine that's obviously the case there. And in your opinion as well, what would you say are the first fundamental steps when it comes to making that transition from the current model of masks and medical accessories to where we want to be?
Yeah, so when we talk about the current linear model, we basically mean that we produce, use, and then dispose PPE, and nothing from this is recovered. But when I set up EcoTextura, I think 6 months before the pandemic started, but the concept was actually years in the making before, based on personal experiences that I had as a patient in a hospital, witnessing the waste crisis and basically scaling this up and predicting that it was a global problem. So after years of research, we've come to the conclusion that we need to make PPE and other disposable items in the medical industry either reusable, so we ensure that the material that they're made from is durable, and we have significant and sufficient sterilization processes and training in place. Or we ensure that the PPE item is made from natural fiber, non-plastic, non-petroleum-based materials that can easily be recycled or composted after use. And another thing to consider, I guess, is while reusable items such as patient gowns may conserve the material and preserve the material, creating to create it and to minimize waste throughout the product cycle, they may also need a lot of energy and water and harmful solvents to sterilize and wash it if it is to be reused again. And if they're made from plastic-based materials such as polyester, again, we have that problem of microplastics being released into the environment when washing. So there are a lot of factors to consider when trying to make these key decisions as to how we're going to make PPE items as environmentally friendly as possible. So circling back to your question, I'd say the first step would be seeing where in the supply chain is causing the most harm, and then aligning the supply chain of raw material and component suppliers, manufacturers, hospitals, and waste disposal treatment facilities to try and close the loop in theory. And then you have to go away and calculate how much waste, water, energy you'll be saving, and also if your solution is feasible with regards to costs. So, I mean, I believe all this analysis has to happen before any products get made.
Right, you're quite right there, and I think what you said, what goes into all these the new products is exactly perhaps what makes EcoTextura the proprietary design and its superiority to the current model. I believe. I think all that definitely makes it stand out from the current products that we're seeing in the market at the moment. And obviously, a lot goes into it, as you just mentioned. What do you think the impact would be in terms of reduction of waste worldwide with these new products?
Well, it would definitely mean that there's less pollution. The more waste we have, the higher likelihood that a lot of the waste ends up in the environment, or factors of it get leached into the environment and do a lot of damage. So immediately having less waste, we are reducing that risk, which is a huge factor. And also being more dependent on our own local economies. I guess the more we conserve, the less we have to import from other places. And again, that comes with a lot of environmental impact itself. So being a lot more self-sustainable by having these sorts of circular systems in place locally.
I think you're definitely on the money there. And I think another important factor there is that what we saw under the pandemic was that these accessories were in very short supply. And I think if we can, as you mentioned, keep that into a local economy there and keep it concentrated and available, then we won't have these issues of shortages perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw that was a huge problem right during at the start of the pandemic with the first lockdown, and there was a huge shortage. Luckily, EcoTextura at the time, we were establishing ourselves and we had these networks connected, so we could provide, especially locally, the essential PPE that we needed. But it would be so great to have manufacturers locally sourced and manufacturing plants local, and then also the waste disposal unit as well local, so we get that circularity really based here.
Absolutely, that would be definitely terrific to see. A lot of benefits would absolutely come from that. And what else, what other revolutions do you think that we're seeing at the moment in the PPE and hygiene industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I noticed a significant amount of innovation happening during COVID, and this was mainly fueled by the sheer amount of attention and scrutiny that existing PPE was getting at the time. And in the past 2 years, I've seen bio-based fibers being explored more in disposable and single-use items, such as the ones that we've also been researching. And these can be composted after use. I've also seen other people explore with wood pulp, hemp, cornstarch derivatives, seaweed. I've seen single masks replace all of their components with polypropylene. So it's a lot easier to recycle when everything is made from one material. I've seen the uptake in hospitals of more custom fitted, durable masks that can be reused and sterilized, and also face shields made from plastics that have been recovered from the ocean, silver being used in self-sterilizing reusable masks as well, and even down to the sterilization machines, using Internet of Things, IoT technology to make the whole process a lot more efficient. I guess at EcoTextura, we decided to focus a lot on inclusive design. So our best-selling clear panel masks are being used all across the world, and especially in the hospitals in the UK. And these masks are really special because they really do offer that full panoramic view of the mouth and of your facial expressions, and are especially helpful to those that are deaf and hard of hearing and rely on lip reading to communicate, those with dementia, those with learning difficulties who really do need to see the expression. And whilst we created this just for the purpose of the pandemic, we are looking to bring out a completely compostable version of it, which is very, very exciting. And also we have a product range coming out with aprons, shoe covers, hairnets, that are also industrially compostable. So, you know, whilst we know a lot of hospitals still incinerate a lot of their PPE right now, and this is the main way that they treat a lot of infectious waste. We do, in the interim, as we go on this journey to fully recyclable, reusable PPE, we want to provide a non-plastic based alternative. So that's why we've come up with this range, and there's a lot of innovation happening in the field right now. So yeah, the list could go on. And I think with all these initiatives and innovations collectively, we are heading towards a more sustainable future for PPE that minimizes the use of virgin plastics and minimizes the waste produced.
Absolutely. I mean, just from what you mentioned, it sounds like there's certainly a lot to be seen in terms of innovation in the field. And you've obviously tackled that quite well at EcoTextura there. And we definitely look forward to seeing your new designs. By the way, when can we expect to see your new range?
Yeah, so I mean, this next year coming up is a very exciting year for us. You will expect some launches of our products throughout the year. And we are, as I mentioned before, our compostable aprons, our hairnets that are suitable for ethical hairstyles, shoe covers, and various gowns as well. Our customer base and customer segments are also increasing significantly. So we're supplying to more hospitals, more medical facilities, and organizations across the world. And we also intend to develop our sustainable PPE trial program for our products within hospitals. So, you know, throughout our time, we have worked very closely with hospitals in the past to ensure that we have the most optimum product market fit, and that our products can easily integrate into the hospital and they can see these sustainable solutions quite quickly. So we plan to develop our trial with hospitals using our products, and also this year puts great emphasis on working collaboratively with our suppliers, with hospitals, with rubbish waste treatment facilities. So whether that be industrial composting facilities or recycling sites, because we really do want to create that fully end-to-end circular process for our medical PPE. And also a thing that I like to mention is that the PPE that we have coming out, we also provide our customers with fully prepaid return packages that direct the PPE to the nearest composting facility as well.
Wow.
So yeah, we're really trying to take over that whole bit of the end part of the loop, of the circular loop.
Sounds very full circle, your focus there. So it's absolutely incredible to hear, I must say. But, you have a very action-packed year ahead of you as well. We definitely look forward to seeing that everything you have going on and everything you'll come out with in the year ahead, and your work with the hospitals as well. It's great to hear that you're definitely working in tandem with the people who need it most. So we'll definitely keep an eye on everything you have in the upcoming year.
Thank you so much.
With that said, thanks very much for joining us here on Executive Corner Expert Talks. It's been really great speaking with you.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks for your time. That was Radhika Srinivasan, the CEO and founder of EcoTextura. If you missed any part of that chat, you can catch the full interview on our YouTube channel at Kalkine Media, and make sure to subscribe. I'm Holly Shields, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.